Hey, what's up guys? I'm Sean.
I'm Josh.
Hey, in this video, don't let the urban backdrop fool you, because this is for our mountain folk that are looking to make their way to the foothills of Colorado. We are going to be talking about the common misconceptions or mistakes that we see people typically ask or do when they're beginning their search for mountain homes. And so we're going to cover all of those and tell you what you need to know to be successful in buying the perfect property, perfect house in the perfect location for you. So if you're into that, stay tuned. Hey party people, welcome back to our channel. We are realtors in the greater Denver metro and the foothills of Colorado. So if you have interest in learning more about what it's like to live here, pros and cons, cost of living, neighborhood tours, everything like that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell. And if you really want to take the next step, reach out to us. You can comment below with questions or give us a call, give us a text, give us an email, and we do read those. We will get back to you. I want to start with I thought like HOAs. I get a lot of people that they'll see that there is an HOA. They're like, well, oh shit, like what all does that mean?
Not city HOA crazy, but there's some things that HOAs don't allow. And I live in the Meadows. It's just, one part of Evergreen, and out of that, I'm not allowed to put up fencing. So I can't have property fencing around because our HOA wants
They want the wildlife.
They want the wildlife. So
Yeah.
they want elk and deer and bears, foxes, anything to kind of roam freely. But that restricts me. I'm not allowed to have horses.
Right.
Oh yeah. How am I supposed to have a horse up there?
Right.
I'm not allowed to. Things that you have to be aware of when you're purchasing up in Evergreen, Conifer, any mountain town up there. If you're hitting an HOA, we're the guys that are going to really dive into that for you.
So HOA is totally different than what most people are used to on flat land. So yeah, just something to be aware of. Next thing is kind of with the terrain, like I was talking about, like the internet connection, because we get so many people that reach out to us now that COVID gave a lot of people the ability to work remotely. We're getting all kinds of people like, I can work from anywhere. I don't want to work where I'm at now. I want to move up to the foothills of Colorado, and that's awesome. But you need to be aware of how much internet connection, the speeds that you're going to get, because depending on where you're positioned on the mountain and the carrier that you use and everything like that, you might have limitations to that.
Also want to speak on that is that some areas in the foothills, they have fiber. So you're going to get great megabytes. Some areas are very finicky. You might only get 3 megabytes a second. So you really need to look into it, and it's going to be property to property. Everything's going to be very dependent on that terrain feature. That mountain's huge. They're not able to pull fiber all the way up there, but it's coming.
Starlink, yeah, essentially, which still won't be super fast, but like be aware. I mean, if you have 3 teenage kids and they're all on their iPads every day and they want to stream videos, like it could be a huge deal, right? If you don't have enough speeds. And a lot of times what we do with that, because it is so case by case or house by house, property by property basis, a lot of times like talk to the current owner, talk to the neighbors to see like what they use and who services that area, because they're usually the best resource for that. Next thing we have is people that are, I call it the tiny home nation. People that think that they can come out and just like, hey, we're going to buy a piece of land, live off the land for a while, maybe in a trailer as we possibly build our house later. For most county codes, that's a no-go.
Yeah, it's a no-go, especially Jefferson County. If you're looking to buy in the foothills out of Jefferson County, you really need to be aware that you cannot just put up your tiny home, expect to live off the land that you just purchased.
Right.
There has to be utilities.
Yeah, they're like your well and your septic, which well depths, vary. A lot of times we'll get people like, hey, I'm thinking about building, and that's fine, that's cool. There's just a lot of like uncommon expenses that people don't think about. How deep does your well need to go? Because you have to hit that aquifer, and is it 200 feet? Is it 400 feet? Is it 1,000 feet?
Is it 1,000 feet?
Right.
So you really need to be aware if you're gonna build on unimproved land, there are great options. It's still slim because you have to have that aquifer tapped, and it can only be tapped so many times. So things to be aware about when you're trying to pick out a nice plot of land up in the mountains.
And we're going to talk a little bit about well rights, water rights, or well permits, water permit rights and things. So
water rights, 0. You are getting nothing. You know, most of our water in Colorado is actually legally have to be sent to California down the Colorado River. So we actually in Colorado don't have that many rights to our own water. If you're seeing water rights, big ticket item. It's also going to cost you. But with that, let's go into mineral rights. That is owned by the railroad.
Why?
Because you know, back in the 1800s, the railroad purchased that land for mineral rights so that they could mine for gold, silver, anything that Colorado had to offer, railroad owns it. Let's be a little more informative on that. In the mountains, it's very tough that you're going to see mineral rights.
Right, so don't freak out.
Don't freak out if you're like, why don't it's very common.
Right.
But you know, out east, you might actually have access to your mineral rights. But up in the foothills, up in the mountains, very, very rarely do you actually have your own rights to the mineral. Owned by the railroad's been there for almost 200 years now, so it's probably not going to change.
Yeah, so again, just the main thing is like, it's very commonplace that you won't have that, so don't freak out. Don't make it a deal breaker.
You don't get to own your water. You probably are not going to be able to own your own gold. Just dig it up yourself. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the terrain. Let's talk about access.
I'll get a call on and say, hey, this house looks amazing. It's like within our budget. Oh my God, these views are so insane. That's because it's at the very top of the mountain, and getting to that house is well, not a nightmare, depending on what type of dream you're trying to live, but it could be a nightmare if you're trying to live more like a suburban mountain lifestyle, because we always say like there's a lot of levels to it, but it's something to be aware of because yeah, that will dictate price, like how easy it is to get in and out of that property.
I also highly recommend, if you're going to live up in the mountains, if that's your lifestyle you want to do, just don't own a 2-wheel drive vehicle.
Sure.
You're not getting home.
Sure.
Things to be aware about.
I always get pushback too from people that in the comments, I read all the comments, mainly I'm the guy that responds to you guys, but I get people all the time in the Evergreen videos, they're saying like, oh, I've lived up in Evergreen and I've had 2-wheel drive for so long and that's fine. But yeah, maybe if you live like off 74 or off 73, but I see a lot of properties that I used to be able to get my all-wheel 4-wheel drive Jeep Grand Cherokee, that now with my Mazda CX-5 all-wheel drive, like just the clearance, it's like not getting it done. Sometimes the roads can get rutted out if you don't have something with a little bit of clearance and 4-wheel drive. It won't work. Yeah. So I think depending on which property you get will determine which type of vehicle you need as well.
Now that we're talking about our terrain, we talked about what you actually have rights to, you should be really aware of what a lender is going to allow you to purchase.
Yes. Can you even buy that house?
Yeah, some properties.
You wanted it. You got it.
You know what?
I think you got it. Take it. Take it.
Some properties are these beautiful little summer cabins. Where we're going with that with lenders is if you're looking at, a cabin that's for sale and you see it on, Realtor, Zillow, and it's been up there for a while. The reason that is you're looking at log structures are seen as a hazard. And so lenders aren't willing to give you money to purchase a house that might not have all of the, I would say, life safety items, utilities.
Sure, life safety.
Yeah, you might have power coming to the house, but do you have a well? Okay, let's say you do have a well and you have power. Do you have septic? These little cabins that were built back in the 50s up there as professional downtown business people, that they would have a little summer cottage up there, and it's still available, but you can only buy it in cash.
Yeah.
It's not a house, it's a cottage. It is a summer cabin.
Right.
And you're not gonna get lending on that because a lender sees a wood structure in the mountains as a vulnerability.
Say there was an accident in your property. Can an ambulance get to the property? Can a fire truck get to the property? And some of these cabins that have maybe been sitting there, been with the same owner, same family for 65 years, well, a lot of them haven't done the proper tree clearance for the burn zone around the property. So what an insurance company is going to do is they're going to do like an aerial view satellite image of the property, and if they see all kinds of trees like right up next to the property, they're going to say, hey, we need you to clear all that out before we can insure it. Here's something that I have, because the pace of the market in Evergreen, Conifer, Foothills, I mean Coal Creek Canyon, Blackhawk, pretty much any area in the foothills, things move very quickly, and I get people from out of town all the time. YouTube channel, you guys reaching out to us, and then they're not completely comfortable putting in an offer on a property that they haven't seen in person, and I need you to get over that. That's what we do. We've got your back. We'll help you feel as confident as you can. Putting an offer on a property and having it accepted is giving you the opportunity to investigate that more. It puts it on hold for you to do your due diligence and make sure everything else checks out. The good homes in the foothills, normally they'll come on the market like Thursday, Friday, and the good ones are going to be receiving offers over the weekend and pick something like Sunday night, Monday evening. So if you're thinking that you're going to find a house, be able to, book your flight to come out here and check it out before it goes under contract, it's not going to happen. What we do is, we do our buyer's consultation again to make sure we're not wasting your time. But once we know what you want, and then you say, hey, this property checks all the check boxes, we'll go up there and we'll do a very thorough video walkthrough. If there's a good enough cell phone service, we could FaceTime with you, but we'll do all the ins and outs, show you if the neighbors seem crazy, see if the house smells like cactus, or really like anything that you can't tell from the photos, because us agents, we're fantastic. I always call like the dating app photos, the best angles, the best lightings, only showing you the positives. So we'll get up there and we'll give you the skinny and the dirt on everything else that you should know. And I know a lot of people that are looking at the mountain property videos are from Texas, California, and Florida. You guys love the mountain videos too. So especially, all three of those states, sometimes people freak out that they're like, hey man, there's no AC in this house. We gonna make it in the summer. And I will say, you will make it. You'll be fine. You have AC in yours though, right? Nope. Oh, you don't? Nope. Oh, tell them about it. Yeah, how do you make it?
Yeah, it's very rare you're actually gonna see an AC unit in the mountains. Open a window, get a cross breeze, you're done. You don't need an AC unit. But if you have one, cool. But it's very rare that you do have one, but you don't need it.
But there are a lot of different types of ways to heat the house. There's like the electric baseboard heat, which
is the worst option.
The worst. I mean, if you're way up in the hills and you don't have access to the propane or to natural gas or something like that, electric might be, maybe that's your only way. And so it's like, if you like the house, like you have to like the electric baseboard heat. That's your only option. There are a bunch of other things like propane. So you'll have a big propane tank somewhere on the home, and that's going to heat. But yeah, propane heat, natural gas. I mean, if you're in more of the suburban areas, you'll have access to that. But if you're like absolutely in love with your gas, fireplace or gas oven range, stovetop, you might have to get over that. What other types of heat? We have floor radiant heat through the floors.
Yeah, those.
People really like those.
They're expensive, but if they're in the house already, sweet. But it's not that hard to also put them in. We also have boilers. Boilers are huge up in the mountains.
My inspectors love them.
Boilers are great. They last forever.
Yeah.
And most houses up there are going to have some sort of hot water baseboard heating. That's what I have in my house. That's pretty much what everyone in my neighborhood has. Hot water baseboard heating. And the hot water is, heated up by natural gas. So you're not even spending that electric bill. It's natural gas, which is significantly cheaper.
Let's see, what other things do we have? We have a lot of people that reach out to us and say, like, I want 5, so for some reason 5 acres is typically like what I hear all the time. I need 5 acres.
I need 5 acres.
Why? Because I want to get away from people. Okay, cool. I totally agree. You want to be in the mountains, you want to be secluded, you want to feel like you're not in the city anymore. You can really do that and get by with a lot less than 5 acres.
Yeah, there's a lot of half-acre lots.
Half-acre, 1 acre, like 1 acre is like
up to nice open space.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Because you might be just happy having a nice hiking trail right behind you on a half-acre. Nobody's behind you. Nobody's next to you, but you have a half-acre lot that just opens up. So if you're looking for privacy, don't get killed on acreage. Acreage is a term that you're just actually looking for privacy.
Right.
That's what we can find you. So now that we are talking about land, let's dive into what you can actually do on that land. You might be looking at a property online that you're like, great, this is the perfect spot. But you might not be realizing, like what Sean was saying, is from the aerial view, you are on a mountain. How are you supposed to build that house on the mountain?
Right.
It's going to be, you know, you're going to have to do so much more work that you might not be aware of. You might have blasting. You might have
just get the driveway in there.
Access.
Land,
yeah. How are you supposed to even get up there?
Mhm.
And so you really need to be aware about purchasing land in the mountains that if it's cheap, it's going to take you more to build on that cheap land because you're going to have to blast.
We're totally happy helping you. We don't deter people from buying property, buying land. We'll absolutely help you out with that. But just like I'd say 8 times out of 10, people start with, hey, we want to build, we're looking for a piece of land. And after like they evaluate everything that's going to take and seeing what's actually available and seeing, like Josh is saying, the downfalls of the inexpensive properties, most people are just like, all right, I'm going to buy something.
Yeah.
So,
and if you are the buyer that wants to buy land and build your house, just be aware that you might be accruing costs that you weren't really prepared to do. Because drilling, so tapping that well, putting in septic, having the utilities go there, that is required by the counties. So just things to be aware about. Is if you're going to do it, great. Make sure you are really accounting for that capital that you'll need. Now, things to really be aware about. Let's talk about the little finicky things. Let's talk about drugs in the mountains.
talking about weed, man?
No,
we're talking about weed. You're talking about mushrooms?
No. Talking about the big boys.
Oh, big boy. Oh, you're talking about meth? Ugh.
Meth in the mountains.
Why would you?
Meth in the mountains.
Yeah.
If you're buying a property that is VRBO, rental, something that was out there, you really need to be aware that you need to probably do a meth test.
Right.
You don't know who actually lived there. You don't know what's
Even
going
if
on.
the sellers look totally cool and they are cool, they might not know what's happened in their home that's a rental or things like that
And
too.
it's a serious problem, I would say nationwide, but things to be aware about in the mountains is, if you're trying to get away from people to do an illegal drug, mountains is probably a good place to do that.
Sure.
So just really be aware about when you're doing your inspection, I would recommend add a meth test on there.
Yeah.
Just add the meth test.
Not all my clients do it, but I think it's good to know because
And it's not that expensive
Right.
to do a meth test. And it's just a peace of mind for your own selves.
exactly.
Is you don't know, some people are crazy. So I would recommend have that done.
Yeah. But what happens too is these companies that come out and they'll do the test. So if you're the buyer, it's fine. That's why it's smart to do buyer. If you're the seller and you find out you have meth in the house, it's a big problem because as soon as that buyer has somebody come out to test, if it's positive for methamphetamine, they have to alert the county that your house is a meth house. So normally what has to happen is they have to then take the house down to the studs, remove all the drywall, and then redo it. So big cost if you're the seller, could be a deal breaker. And if you're in I found out if you're in a log cabin home, where you don't have like the drywall barrier, if it permeates that wood for the logs, it's a tear down.
Yep, whole tear down.
Holy shit,
To
you
me,
have?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Out right there in Evergreen, beautiful spot right above the library. Tore it down all the way down, scraped the house.
Yeah. If you guys have questions, specific questions, the comment section is the place to do that. We monitor that all the time and we will get back to you. But if you're ready to start talking and getting on the journey to your home search, we'll have a buyer's consultation, get a feel for what you're looking for, timeline, and we'll help you get set up with a game plan. So whether it's like 3 months, 6 months, year out, we'll just get you going so that when that right property does pop up, you can jump on it really quick. What else did I miss?
Welcome to the mountains.
Did we fucking crush that? All right, good job. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.